Adam,
Hey,
welcome to Jagged Parts.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Adam, let's start off with an origin story. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? How did you transition or get into acting?
Yeah, so I was born in Toronto, Ontario, and I've always been an actor, I think, just like born into it. I don't know why. I've always just loved to act. I would grow up watching Disney movies, Lion King, this, that, whatever, and I would just try to imitate, and I would dress up, and I would just be the character, and I loved it, right?
Yeah.
And I would make my little brothers be in the scene with me. Grease, I would dress up as John Travolta and do the full thing. Yeah, I was like a full-on actor subconsciously even before I even really knew. And then my mom was like, okay, this energy, he needs to put it somewhere. He needs to maybe actually, we should put him into acting. So they put me into like community theater acting and, local theater. And eventually I just wanted to do it for real. And I would beg my parents to get an agent, and they would just say, no, like, we want you to have a childhood. We want you to grow up and, go to the park. We don't want you to go to auditions. You know? Not that that's a bad thing. It's just that that's what they wanted for me.
They wanted you to have a normal upbringing.
Yeah. And so I would beg and beg and beg. And my grandparents are extras in movies and shows and stuff. So they kind of talked to my parents and they said,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're like, just let him have an agent. It's not that bad,
Yeah.
So by the time I was 13, I was begging them so much that they finally gave in and I got my first agent.
Oh, wow. So you started really young. You started professionally with an agent at 13. Yeah. So what was there? How did you find your first agent?
I think my mom just Googled.
Okay.
And, it was the first thing that popped up, which, they're not. They're a good agency, but they're, it was the best she knew, right?
Sure.
So,
did you meet multiple agents or?
It was the only one.
Oh,
they were the only one, and they wanted to sign me, and it was a whole thing, and
right.
We paid some money, and which is not, if you're an actor, you don't pay to get signed,
right?
But we it was the best that she knew, at the time, and no regrets.
Got you in. So you're 13.
Yeah.
You're out there. You're starting to audition. And how was that like? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you nervous when you were like that young auditioning? No.
I was. I probably should have been, but I was 13 and I went on my first audition probably like a month after I signed with my agent. And I did the audition. It was for a show called Rent a Goalie, which is a show on Showcase at the time. And went in, did the audition. I got a redirect, which I thought at the time was, not a good thing, which, could be, may not be, may be a good thing. You never know.
Yeah.
But I got a redirect and then I left the room and my dad was like, how'd it go? And I was like, oh, I got it. I got the role. And he's like, oh, come on. Come on. I'm like, no, I got it. And I was half kidding, half serious because I thought I did a good job.
Yeah.
My 13-year-old self, I don't know anything, right? And then I got the role, surprisingly. And it even shocked me because I didn't think I was...
You booked your first audition.
Yeah. And so my mom was absolutely terrified because she thought that I would think it's going to be that easy for the rest of time, which it wasn't. And she just didn't want me to be upset. So
it wasn't. So that then you were auditioning, not getting the roles. How did you take that at such a young age?
So... my mom was always more of the practical one. She wanted me to stay in school and, not really do she's supportive, but she just was more practical. My dad would be the one that drove me to auditions and paid for my acting class when I was younger. But as a kid, I never really took it hard. I think when I took it hard was when I was really close to a role, maybe. If I was super close to booking something and I didn't get it, I might have been sad for a day at most, and then I would just snap out of it. You have to, right? And I knew that really early on is to not dwell on it, because there's no point.
That's great.
Something you can do,
Okay, and then you started training, taking classes.
Yeah. So right after my first gig, I realized that I wasn't booking as much as I thought maybe I would. And so right after that, I got braces. Okay. So that just put a halt to everything, as a young...
Why? Can you not audition?
You can, but most of the stuff... they don't want you to have braces.
Really. I'm just trying to think of, do any younger kid actors have braces on TV?
Most of the time they don't. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. If they do, it's like the really nerdy role, which that's what I would only go out for at the time. Right. And, but most of the time they just don't want you to have braces. It's just, I don't know. So I just was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this time and just throw myself into studying, because I realized that like I didn't know what I was really doing. I mean, I grew up doing theater, but that's so different than film and TV. And I was competing against all these other actors who have been acting on film and TV since they were in diapers.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to auditions that much anymore, and I have braces for the next 3 years. Might as well just work my butt off and just get the best I can be. So I went to class every week, and I worked my butt off. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna really put myself into this. And I'm so thankful because, you know, that 13-year-old arrogance is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you, man, because to have that maturity and awareness at a young age is pretty impressive, right? And I've
Thank
said
you.
this to you before, like I know a lot of younger actors. I hate using the word younger because I'm young too. I'm not a fucking old guy.
No, yeah.
But I just mean like late teens or early 20s.
Right.
And a lot of them they could be very good looking, but they don't have the chops or they don't have the maturity to really realize what the work they have to put in is.
Right.
And sometimes people can get lucky, right? They have the right look. They can book a big part.
Oh, I've seen it so many times.
Right. But then once that's done, they don't know where to go.
Yeah. And going kind of off of what you just said, like, I didn't want that. I didn't want to be like almost like a one-hit wonder, you know, maybe book something crazy and then just burn out, or they use me and then throw me to the side kind of thing. You know, I want to really actually genuinely be good at my craft. And I didn't really care if it took, you know, I'm still training, but like I need to take those years to really know what I was doing because I didn't.
Yeah.
And I realized that early on. So,
yeah. So it sounds like that's definitely a tip for other younger actors.
Yeah, I would say like if you're starting out, you know, you may think you're good, you may have done some school plays or whatever, maybe even worked on film and TV, but you'll never reach the top of your training, if that makes sense. You're always going to be training. I think the biggest actors in the world are still working on their craft. You know, you're always evolving and you're always going, and you just have to really know what you're doing because, you know, you're not going to let someone perform brain surgery on you if they didn't know what they're doing, you know?
So it sounds like that's definitely one of the tips that you would give to the younger actors out there.
Yeah.
From your own experience or the things you learned when you were at that age, what are some other tips that you would give out to younger actors and things that you wish you knew?
Okay, so I guess for the first part of that question, I guess a tip to give out to younger or new actors is to really do your research. It doesn't matter if you're from Toronto, LA, New York, you know, somewhere random in the world, you know, Tennessee, I don't know. Do your research. Who's working in your city? I would invest in IMDb Pro. I don't know if you know the website IMDb. There's usually there is a IMDb Pro side where you can see behind the scenes of the website. So like who reps who, and you know things that not on the standard website have. You know, so it's about like $200 I think a year, and it's really worth it because you can now see people who are working in your area as agents, you know, where they train, this and that. And I would see who are the top people who are working and go from there, see who their agents are, see who they're training, and then do your research and see if, you know, work your way towards that, you know, try to get signed by them, you know. And, you know, if it's a super huge agent, I don't know, find somebody who are maybe not as busy as that actor, and a little, you know, starting out just maybe like a little less popular than that actor, and just do your research, you know, take classes, you know, work your butt off. Like I said, I had problems at the beginning stages of really, I was frustrated because I didn't feel myself getting better. I you know, one of the reasons why I went to class was because I didn't like the work I was doing. I didn't like the auditions I was producing, you know? And so I was just frustrated, and I would tell my coach, like, I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding it. And he said, you're just gonna have to keep working. And I think, this is something I wish I told myself as a kid or even younger, that just in general in life, as you grow up or as you go through life, you're going to gain more experiences, and that will help you with your work. And just, you know, there's only so much you know as a kid, right? So it's harder to pull from things. And sometimes I remember as a kid, I was doing some heavy material, like, you know, dark stuff. And I
don't have the
never went
experience
through that. And not that I have that now, maybe, you know, but I can kind of, I could see where characters are coming from, whereas the 13-year-old kid I didn't, you know, and you just mature and your work matures. And so that's something I would say, is to not be frustrated and give up. You just got to keep pushing through.
It's a marathon, right?
It's a marathon, yeah. And you just want to be the best you can and keep evolving. That's all. Yeah. You know, and once you start seeing change, you're gonna be happy, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you start transitioning from auditioning as a teenager to young adult roles in Toronto? Talk us through that.
It wasn't hard. It was just different. Like I would start reading.
Was it a conscious decision?
At first, no. I think I just, as age went on, I was starting to go up for older things, and then it got to a point where recently I was just going out for high school things, and I was like, I know the people who are going to get this role are like 16 years old, like actually 16-year-olds, you know? So I had to talk to my agent and say, okay, look, what are we doing here? We gotta make a new game plan here because it's not working out, you know? And she said, okay, we're going to start submitting you for the older things. I guess it's time for you to go out for older roles and kind of rebranding yourself. So I would go into audition rooms now with my beard and you know, just even vocally like lower my voice more and be more grounded, and it's just a different vibe, you know, and that I felt helped me a lot because I started going out for more older things. But I mean, it wasn't, I think the problem when people say, oh, was it hard transitioning as a child actor to, you know, adult actor, I think that's harder for kids who kind of blow up at a young age, who become a big star at like 15 or 16, and you know, they're known for a certain iconic maybe Disney role or something, and it's harder for them to snap out of that. I never blew up as a kid, right? So I was just kind of consistently working. So it wasn't really hard, but internally, the casting directors in my area, you know, they probably still saw me as more of a younger kid, and that's why I had to go in with more of a beard and you know, get my headshots with a beard and look more older to help them rebrand me in their minds, if that makes sense.
Do you still audition for teenagers?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. When I was in Toronto, not as much because we rebranded that. But now in Vancouver, that I'm here in Vancouver, I find myself going for more teenager things because the teenager series and movies that are shot here, they actually cast early 20-year-olds, where in Toronto they want actual teenagers. Right. So it's just different vibes.
Why do you think that is? Is that because there's more teenagers there, or?
I think it's just an American thing. I think a lot of the American series and projects they cast like older kids to play younger. I don't know why, but the roles and shows I was going out for in Toronto, they were mostly Canadian. Yeah. So maybe that, I don't know. It's probably producers. Just interesting. I'm just I have no idea. I have no idea. I've been wondering that too lately, so I don't know. Yeah.
Good segue into, I mean, I've been in Vancouver since January. You've been here for a few months.
Yeah.
From my experience, in terms of the industry, it's the same thing. Acting is acting, auditioning is auditioning. People are professionals everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's a different vibe in terms of the shows that are shot here.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize if you're a younger actor with good chops, Vancouver is a great place to be. Take note. Simply because of the fact that you have all the CW stuff here.
Yeah.
Right. Riverdale, Sabrina has been picked up for 2 seasons right away. And there's just a lot of work here for younger actors. So that aside, anything else you've noticed here that's different?
I'm still new. I came here at the beginning of June. We're coming up to the end of August now. So I've just only been here for a few months. And it's just different. It's just different vibes. In terms of Vancouver, you're talking about, or about the industry?
Let's start off with the industry and then the city.
I haven't really noticed anything different in terms of industry. Like I said, I've only just got here, so I don't know yet. But I don't know. How about you? Have you noticed anything different? Or?
Industry, no, just the types of projects. One thing, yes, everything shoots here in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't have a car, you're fucked.
Yeah, and they don't transport you.
If you book a big role, your agent would have to negotiate sometimes.
Right.
But everything here is Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, North Vancouver.
But why? Do you think it's just because they need like studio space? Or?
So actually, going back to what's different here, I think the reason, first of all, it's all American shows here, right? There's hardly anything. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 Canadian shows here. So they come here, other than the tax brackets and all those things, because of the landscape here.
Oh, okay.
Right,
So
you can shoot in the forest,
New York or LA, and then
exactly. You can, like look at all the CW stuff, right? They usually shoot a lot outside the 100. They're in the forest, in the woods with like tall trees, so the outdoors, and they can literally be on the beach within a couple of hours, right? And then they do have the city available to them as well. That's part of Vancouver's charm. It has everything within it, right? Whereas in Toronto, the shows that go there typically are going there because they want to show it as New York or Chicago, right? So suits and that kind of stuff. So that's another reason why they film outside a lot.
Yeah, true. Okay.
And the other is I find like overall Toronto is obviously a way bigger city, but like the downtown core is way more dense here. I don't know if you've noticed that. There's a lot of one-way streets.
Oh yeah.
So shooting downtown is a big pain in the ass here. I was on a set a couple of days ago, and they were shooting in Chinatown, and it was like a disaster.
It was a disaster.
It wasn't a disaster, but it was like it just so many like variables.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
People coming out of anywhere, So it's harder, I think, to film downtown here.
Yeah.
That might be another reason why they're filming more outside the city.
Yeah. That makes sense, kind of.
Yeah. So that's you might need a car here.
Noted. Noted.
Yeah.
Definitely need a car.
Yeah, you know, when you get that 6 a.m. call time in Abbotsford.
Yeah. I wonder, like, it's kind of interesting that they don't really transport unless, like, you're, you know, the lead. I would just...
I think even for, like, definitely for a guest star.
Yeah.
They would, your agent would negotiate that in.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but probably not for an actor role.
Right.
Or maybe even principal.
Right. Interesting.
Because everyone else is expected to get there unless you have a pickup from your hotel, which is
sense.
usually like the bigger parts.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I mean, it's the industry. Professionals are professionals everywhere.
Yeah.
I do think there's BC is overall busier now, just in terms of number of productions, but that's also a lot of Hallmark, right?
And I can't really do that unless I have a BC. So in British Columbia, you need to be a BC resident, or
you need to pay taxes.
So I have to wait until 2018 is over to.
Right. That's why I came here a year before and got my license changed over.
Smart. I did not do that.
That's another tip. Just come here for 2 weeks and get your papers changed.
Oh, also something that I also did notice. So I did my first acting class out here.
Yeah.
I did like a private coaching. And we, you know, just to work out a scene, just for fun, and to keep practice up. And my coach was telling me, he's like, yo, dude, your Canadian accent is wild. Like, you need to literally...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, you need to go to dialect coaching. I'm like, really? I'm like, I really work on my abouts instead of about.
Yeah.
Outs instead of outs. You know, he's like, no, but I can still hear it. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I find that people who come from the East Coast have it worse than people from the West Coast.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know why, but people from the West Coast, it's easier. They have a better American accent than East Coasters. So
I have heard that a little bit too. I think it's probably because all the work here is American. They're just more aware of that fact, right?
Maybe that's why. But also, I feel like they're more surfer vibe. They're more California vibe out here. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because, I mean, of course, this is a generalization.
Yeah.
But like, I would say overall, actors in the East Coast are a little more overall trained. A lot more theater backgrounds as well. Mm-hmm. Here, and I've heard this from a Vancouver acting coach.
Okay.
He said there's a lot of vocal fry here.
Oh, okay.
A lot of actors just talking, mumbling, you know, American,
Hey,
whatever.
dude,
Yeah. It can work for some parts, but over a period of time, what did you say? Like, fucking say the words, right?
Say it, yeah.
So, whereas it's a part of the training, and I think that whole part about like naturalistic sounding is overplayed because, like, I'm talking right now, I'm naturalistic, but I'm enunciating the words, right?
Right.
So, there's that part too.
Yeah.
You know,
interesting. Yeah. So I think I just need to do dialect coaching.
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone does. I mean, that's just something everyone. I don't think that's something. Yeah, I think that part about being from Toronto and then you got to focus on that more is just bullshit.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I've heard of Vancouver, very well-known Vancouver coach say like the young actors here just have vocal fry. They have no vocal training.
Shit.
Just like mumbly acting.
Mumble.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Back to the question. Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess outside of the industry, what I feel Vancouver is different than Toronto. It's just the beauty of it. Like,
right.
I mean, Toronto is beautiful in terms of just the city.
Yeah.
But here it's like mountains, ocean, city, all in one.
Right.
You know, people are, I think, maybe cooler here and they're more chill here.
More laid back.
Yeah, more laid back. But there's less people. There's only like 600,000 people. In Toronto, there's like 3 million. So it's just different. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't see a lot of people in the street, right?
Yeah, I was kind of culture shocked when I got here.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but it sounds like you're enjoying it.
I love it.
Starting to settle in.
Yeah,
staying on.
Pardon?
Staying on in Vancouver.
Yes, I think I'm gonna stay here. Yeah, for at least a while.
Yeah.
New vibe. Why not?
Nice, cool, awesome, man. So, tell us a bit about your recent project. So I know you were guest starring on a CBC show.
Yeah.
So and there was an interesting story around that too.
Yeah. So actors, if you don't have your license, get your license. Anything to further your career in terms of like, you know, if just to take classes, you know, like do martial arts, do, you know, anything. Just you never know when it could come in handy, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I auditioned for this show called The Detectives back in January, and you know, I got the role. I got the role as like the lead guest star or whatever. And about like a week before I was set to go out to film, they kind of asked me if I had my license, and I said no, but I can get it tomorrow. Like I was gonna go get it anyways in 2 weeks, but I was like, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll do the test tomorrow. Yeah, and I'll be fine. I go to the test the next day, and I'm not kidding you, my battery dies in the car just seconds after we start literally driving. My battery dies, and I was like, and the next day was Good Friday, and they had to like fly me out the next day. And I had to get it because in the scene I would drive.
Your car battery dies.
The car battery literally dies. I'm not even, I wish I had like a reality show at that moment because that would be like perfect TV. But yeah, it died. And my driver was like, sorry, it's 5 o'clock. We can't do the test again. Like, that's it, you know? And I was like, no, but please. I sound so unrelatable. I'm like, but I'm going to be doing a TV show. He did not care. Yeah, he's like, sorry, dude. Like, I got to go home. And I was like, oh my God. So anyways, the tow truck people come. They end up fixing my car and I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I was so sad. I had to let the roll go because I mean.
So you didn't give you the part.
They didn't get. They wanted to so bad, but just because of liability, they couldn't, and they had to fly me up the next day, and the next day was Good Friday, so I couldn't do the test the next day. It was just a mess.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. So I was like, you know what? Okay, it's fine. It just wasn't meant to be. Mm-hmm. Again, growing up in this business, you kind of learn to take rejection a different way. Like you just let things go. I was sad for a day, let me tell you. I had my pity party, but then I got over it. And whatever, life goes on. And about a few weeks later, I got an audition for the detectives again. And I was like, okay, it doesn't mean anything. It's just an audition.
Yeah.
It was a self-tape. So I do my work, my prep, and I go in, I do my tape the best I can. And then I got the role, and it just happens that, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but the role that I played in the episode, the show is about real Canadian dramas. Okay. So real Canadian crimes. Yeah. So actual crimes that have happened, murders that have happened in Canadian history within the last 10 to 15 years. Each episode's new cast, new storyline. And so it just so happened that my mom's boyfriend was a correctional officer, and he worked with one of the characters, the killer in the episode, in the jail.
Oh, so the
real guy. He worked with him, and his best friend discovered the girl who dies in the episode's body. Oh, wow. So it's just crazy how everything kind of tied in together, and everything happens for a reason, Yeah. And so I was just like, wow. It wasn't meant to get the first episode because I was supposed to get this episode. And it comes out this fall. So
they flew you out to Montreal.
Yeah, we shot out Montreal, and it was really cool. And then I came right here. So I haven't really been home for ever. Yeah.
Do you have your license now?
I have my license. Literally, I'm not kidding.
You have it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It was Good Friday, and then the next week I got it. I was like, I just need to get it. Like, I have to get it now. I have my license.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. I have a similar story on that as well.
Yeah.
I did an episode of Nikita with a friend of mine. I knew him from before, and we're both like military soldiers, and he was driving this like military truck.
Yeah.
And we're shooting in Brampton there was like a hill, and the road on the hill was like literally like the size of my kitchen.
Right.
So there's basically no room to go off.
Okay.
And this is like an old military style truck.
Yeah.
With a missile at the back too. Jeez. I don't know where they got it from, right? Very like rattly old truck. And I realized the guy didn't really know how to drive.
Oh no.
So, and they're shooting, and then the camera's there.
Yeah.
So they, there was no camera inside the truck.
Okay.
So they wanted him to stop right before the camera.
Okay.
He was so nervous, first of all.
Yeah.
And in the scene, we're having a conversation, and then I say something, and then he jams the brakes, and he pulls out a gun, and he kills me.
Okay.
Right? He was so nervous. Like, first of all, he almost hit the camera.
Yeah.
And then we did it again, and then he slammed the brakes right before the camera.
Oh no.
Then he forgets to kill me.
Oh no.
It took us so long because like he didn't really know how to drive.
See,
I think he had a license, but like he probably never had driven.
Right,
before.
and like it's just such a liability if you have these $1 million cameras, and I have to drive on the show, right? So they didn't want to just. I mean, I totally get it. They didn't want to like risk.
Yeah,
it,
I mean,
right?
listen, I was scared, like, because we could have gone down the hill.
Yeah,
because this was like an old truck, right? It was just could have rolled down.
There you go.
Yeah,
like, I'm shocked that they let him.
Well, he probably had a license, but like he probably had driven like twice. He probably driven for the test, and that's it, right?
Right.
So it's definitely good to know about it to be, why not get a license, right?
Right. Yeah.
You never know when you can need it.
You never know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything? So that's going to come out in when?
It comes out in the fall. I'm not really sure exactly when. I don't think they haven't started promoting it yet, but in the fall, I know this year, 2018. So the Detective season 2.
Cool. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, it's been a good year. I had a small part on 12 Monkeys, which was really cool to work on.
What did you play there?
I played a young Christopher Lloyd. So
cool.
The guy from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
It's super cool to work with. I mean, I grew up watching Back to the Future movies, so it was really cool. I was like, wow, it kind of starstruck.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I did a show.
Has that aired already?
It aired, yeah,
Okay.
in the summer. So if you're a fan of 12 Monkeys, go watch it. It's a very small role.
Yeah.
And then I kind of have a bigger part on this show called Teenagers, which was kind of risk. And that actually, going back to what you said, how to like break your child image, your child actor image, I had to do like a sex scene on that show. And so I thought that would be kind of good to help me transition to being an adult, more of adult roles. I mean, obviously no nudity, but like it was just kind of breaking that image, which is cool. Yeah.
That web series is done really well, right?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it has a big following, and I never really realized. I kind of just I was working on the show, and then I started watching the comments, and I was like, oh wow, people are actually very invested in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool.
So they basically put the show up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and it's gotten quite a few views.
How many seasons is it?
There's I think there's 3. Yeah.
And they're still going?
We finished after the 3rd. I was in the 3rd season, so we finished after the 3rd season. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was cool.
How did you get involved with that?
Back in like the first season, they kind of messaged me and they were like, "Oh, we're interested in this character," and they were coming up with this character called Sal or whatever, and they were like, "Okay, we'll message you when the right time comes." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was like 17 or whatever, and they never messaged me back, the producers, and I was kind of sad because I was a fan of the show. I watched the show, and they never messaged me back. And then in the summer of I think 2 years ago, they messaged me saying, "Hey, we would love you to audition for season 3." And I was like, oh, for sure. And so I auditioned for it, and then I got the role. Yeah.
Nice. But how did they? Was it through your agent or how?
It was on Twitter. The producers like found me on Twitter.
Oh, they just found you online.
Yeah, but it was weird because I watched the show anyway. So I was like, oh wow.
Oh wow. So interesting. Now,
Yeah.
So social media.
Yeah.
So it definitely does help, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword too.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you're super on social media too much as an actor, like you vlog every day and you do this and you do that and you post everything about you, it just makes you have to work harder as an actor to disguise yourself as the character, because when people start knowing your personality, Right. And I kind of like to be more discreet just because, it's easier for me to disguise in the characters because I can just be a character. You don't really know who I am, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. I post on social media. I think it's important, but not too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everyone has to find their own balance, right?
Yeah, teach their own. So,
but I mean, I think, like anything, I heard this quote recently and it was like, it really struck me. And I'm like, this guy said, social media is just a word for the current state of the internet.
Oh, wow.
It is.
Wow.
Right?
But do you think it's going to go? Like, do you think it's going to come and go? Or
it's not going to go. It's just going to evolve into something else.
Yeah.
I personally think audio is where it's evolving into as well.
Yeah.
Look at so 20% of all Google searches are voice-based searches now.
Oh, wow.
Because podcasting, right? Why has podcasting blown up? Because passive consumption of information. People are during their commute or working out.
Yeah.
They want to consume information, right? So it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, people who complain about social media. I mean, listen, it's like this podcast, right?
Right.
15 years ago, it would have cost me like $1 million to do it.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
The distribution channels are open to you now
Right,
if you want to do it, right? So
right.
it's if you know what you want to do with it, it's an advantage.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether.
But now the problem is that there's so many.
Right.
So now how do you kind
of course,
I
think quality will always stand out over a period of time.
Right. And it's just crazy that like everything on the internet's immortal. Like somebody in 25 years, 50 years, 60 years may find this episode and listen to it. You never know. It's just so
cool. What I was
cool.
thinking about recently? It's literally you can leave like if you wanted to go back and watch your grandparents, you would look at their photo albums, or maybe you find a home video.
Yeah.
You could literally this is like the home video for my grandkids.
Yes, exactly.
Like, what was Kunal doing when he was like 32?
I know. And my kids can probably see my sex scene on Teenagers.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely crazy, but it's okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like that, what was it? There was a commercial or something that this guy writes, I think it was a commercial for Google or Gmail.
Yeah.
And this guy writes an email to his unborn daughter.
Oh, wow.
So he wrote it was like a happy birthday email every year and what he wanted to tell. And it was like, he just like pre-scheduled emails to get to her on every birthday.
Wow, interesting.
Right? It's just like, it's just the current state of the internet.
It is. And we don't even know what's to come.
Yeah. You have AI and voice and VR now. I mean, I don't think you can be you have to evolve, right? Like,
right.
Fear mongering doesn't lead you anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
People who just fear monger are afraid of change.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when it used to be all silent films,
right?
And then they were like talkies.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen the movie The Artist?
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, what is this? Like, why are people talking on film? Like, that's bullshit.
And people are always shook at the beginning, and then society gets used to it.
It's evolution, right? And like thinking about like as acting now, there's so much like motion capture work, live action for Disney, right? So you're gonna have to like learn how to evolve into those mediums.
And I think even acting in general evolves too. Like look at back in the 50s, everyone was overacting and doing the most, and now it's like less is more, and
right.
I mean, it depends on style and genre, but it just acting also evolves too. So which is cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's I mean, of course, there's always going to be some negative or cons to everything,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
But like, I always try to think of it like, look at what is available to us now. Mm-hmm. If you want to make your own work, like put it up in anywhere.
You can,
you can put a picture for your sandwich too, or you can make something, put it up. Choice is yours, right?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, it's just endless out there. It's cool. It's really cool, but also the downside to it is that there's so much of it, and you have to somehow find an audience, and that's where it's hard. That's where it's hard, is finding the audience.
I also think that's definitely relevant to like us who are like content creators on an independent level.
Yeah.
But it's also relevant to big studios.
Yeah.
Like how many TV shows are out there now? Right?
So many.
It's who has time to watch everything?
Right. And there's so many channels, there's so many like Netflix 2.0s, like
exactly.
Hulu, this, that.
There's
and it's like
so much out there. And even that, I mean, just cutting ourselves out of the picture, actors, just like a regular person who works a 9-to-5 job, they come home, they want to be entertained.
Right.
They could watch a film, a TV show, they can
listen to
podcasts, they can listen to like a talk show on TV, they can watch sports, right? Now there's so many motivational speakers.
Yeah.
Right, they can consume their content. I consume a lot of content like that.
Audiobooks.
So it's like everything is just attention.
Yeah.
It's a game of attention arbitrage.
And also, people have smaller attention spans too, so you have to catch them quick, right? And it's
exactly
hooked on. Yeah.
Exactly. But that said, I find it interesting how again, like if this stuff changes so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe 5 years ago, everyone was like, well, you're putting stuff on YouTube, it can't be longer than 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
But now if you look at the best rated podcasts, the most downloaded podcasts, they're like an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, because people listen to it in the car, on the commute, in the gym, on the beach.
Exactly. But also I think it's because we live in a world of a lot of like, attention grabbing bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So people want like meat. People want meaty stuff
out there. Yeah.
People want to get into like a really good discussion.
Right.
Not just like the surface level, right?
Right, of course.
So that's why people consume content like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what podcast do you listen to?
I don't listen to any, but me and my friends did have a podcast a few years ago, and that was a lot of fun. And we just would sit around the table and just talk about crazy stories that we've, parties we've gone to. We were in high school at the time, so just crazy stories. And we honestly didn't think anybody would listen. It was just for fun, and we got such a big reaction, such a big audience, and it's because we just had genuine conversations, you know? And I think that also helps you a lot. It's no bullshit. It's just real. There's no facade, and I think people like that.
Yeah.
And we're funny. So
It's funny and charming.
Yeah.
It's no facade. People want the real stuff, right? That's why they're coming to these mediums, because like they don't want to go to CNN and get the information there.
All filtered and controlled. Yeah, it's just real people, and that's why people like vlogs and videos and YouTube videos and things like that, because it's just real. It's right there. It's in real time almost too. So
yeah. Cool. I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
About some challenges you faced. And I mean, it doesn't have to be just around acting.
Mm-hmm.
Challenges, setbacks that you really learn from.
Yeah. I mean, it's always challenging as an actor. You never know what people are looking for. It's just, there's so many variables to even booking a job.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for me growing up in this business and learning, I think the biggest thing I've learned is to just trust your instinct and really just go for it, and not give a fuck what people think, and it's your art. So if you get, the sides or whatever, and you're doing your work on it, and I think like obviously it has to stay along the lines of the tone and the genre and everything, but take risks, take chances, have fun, go in the room and like do something that you know that the next guy wouldn't, obviously still in the constraint of the scene, but just have fun, and it's your art. That's where I think that's where there was a moment there where I just wasn't having fun anymore, because I felt like I was really just a robot, and I was being told by so many different people on how to act, and like you know, what was right, what was wrong. And I just realized like I have to just shut all those people out, and at the end of the day, this is art, and I'm just making my work, which is my work. And you know, I'm an actor, I didn't write the script, but I have to have fun and make it real, and create this character. And I think that's the biggest challenge for me, was to be okay with my choices and be okay with what I was presenting in the room. And so that took me a long time, but now I have so much fun. I like can't wait to audition, because I'm like, bring it, let's do it, you know. And collaborating with people too on set. Then when you book the role, you know, you work with the director and you talk about your visions and stuff. It's just so much fun. That for me was like the biggest challenge, though, was to get to that spot of being like confident. That's
great to hear, because you know, you do get lost in the business part of things, right? You're like, I haven't booked this, I haven't booked that. You get too lost in that. And it's like, I always try to just go back to remember, why did I start doing this? When I started acting, it wasn't like I was thinking about booking this show or whatever. Right? It was just like, you watch a film, you're like, you feel moved.
You're like, I want to do that.
I want to do that, right? Because that's what it's about. So,
and there's been times where it's just like, I haven't even auditioned, and I know this is why I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, is because I get like antsy. I'm like, okay, I need to do something. I'm gonna just go into a studio and practice with somebody, because I literally need to act. I feel like I have to do it. I have to practice. I love it, you know, and I miss it. And so that for me is like, that's when I know what I'm actually doing. I love what I do. So
Any top 2 things you wish you knew, that you know now that you wish you knew like 10 years ago, or whatever, 5-10 years ago?
Top 2. I kind of covered it in the last spiel I just said, but just being confident, and like and owning your work and your scene and your audition, and you know, being confident with it. I mean, obviously if they give you a redirect, you know, adjust to that, but go in the room confident, because I wasn't. For the most part, I was like questioning everything. Oh, is this right? Is this right? No, just do it, you know? And the second thing is, I would say to stop comparing myself to other people, which I think is very important for actors to hear. You know, you're sitting in this waiting room with like 10 other guys that look like you or similar to you, and you're like, shit, like he could book the role, or no, he's better looking than me, like he probably can book the role, or like I just heard him in the room, and oh my God, like that was too much. You have to just zone that out, and like really just be focused on you, because at the end of the day, it's your journey. It's you. You're doing you. You know, there's no race. It's just you. It's a race against yourself, right? So I wish I knew that, because I would always compare myself and, you know, try to find, who booked this, who booked that. I mean, you still kind of do that, but like for the most part, you just have to tune that all out, because it's just noise. You know.
Cool.
So, how about you? What are 2 things that you wish you knew? I know I kind of threw off guard there.
No. I would say find your own voice. That's the most important thing. You need to get satisfaction out of what you're doing. Otherwise, there's no point long term. And second, I would say just, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Exactly.
We treat it as a sprint, short term. Think long term, not short term.
And if you want to keep up with that marathon, you have to train and work out.
And I would say, actually, number 1, work your ass off.
Work your ass off.
Hard work and dedication, like number 1. I mean, I think of course there's something like natural talent. But I actually, I really think of, I draw a lot of analogies from sport. I think artists should actually look at athletes.
That's awesome.
Because look at you know, you look at a fighter, right? Even like an amateur fighter, let's not even go into professional fighting. Someone who's training for the nationals or Olympics or whatever. They've been boxing for so many years to train for an amateur fight, which lasts 10 minutes max. 3 rounds, 3 minutes each. 10 minutes. Training camp is 3 to 4 months. 4 days a week, 3 hours of training, 4 hours of training. For a 10-minute round. And actors, they're not in class, or they're not just working on their stuff. They get an audition, they expect to just nail it.
You're literally expected to nail it, because the next guy will, you know?
See, I think a lot of actors should learn from athletes on how to perform under pressure. A lot of people sometimes have trouble working under pressure. And an actor recently said this to me. He's like, you know, it's great that, like, I mean, self-taping takes some of the pressure off. but you need to learn how to perform under pressure, because on set there will be pressure on you.
Yeah,
every minute
1 hour to literally we have half an hour to do this.
Every minute is costing like $10,000.
Yeah.
You're wasting time. You need to right away.
Yeah,
right.
No, yeah.
So it's you need to have the same mentality.
Yeah,
and like the other thing I believe is like you won't be able to do anything in the audition room that you haven't done in training.
Yeah.
If you haven't had like magical moments of training and worked your ass off, don't expect that to happen in the audition room.
Okay, yeah. If anything, it won't happen in the audition room. Yeah.
When there's like 10 people sitting there and there's the pressure of the job, and you haven't been able to do that in your training.
Right.
You're not pushing yourself enough in training.
Yeah.
And you're expecting magic to happen in auditions or on set. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. No.
That's my number one thing. Look at athletes and look at like, I even look at anyone who's self-made, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes actors, I mean, it's fine, you audition, you get roles, but you should not depend on that, right?
No, of course. I mean, the job is auditioning, basically.
Exactly. And like, I look at like top athletes and even like musicians.
Yeah.
Musicians don't wait around for auditions. They fucking create music and put it out there, right?
They're out there at the restaurant and hustling. And
they're hustling. They're doing gigs and like selling CDs and
this and that. Yeah.
You need to have the same mentality.
Same thing. Totally.
You can't expect to, and
because actors are at the bottom of the food chain. You know, there's a producer, there's a director, and then they cast the actor, and it's like you can't just wait around. You have to wait around. Thing,
and if you look at the model now, a lot of the very successful actors came up from that, right?
Self-made, yeah.
Self-made. They're whether you look at all. I mean, maybe comedy is a little more prominent than that. They're all like had their own Netflix specials that they wrote, and because that is the model now. You know, like. The other thing is actors need to really be smart about this because Silicon Valley is taking over Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Google, Facebook, YouTube, they're all producing original content. Silicon Valley is slowly taking over Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're not like suits, like studio executives. They're like democratized content. Let's buy the best stuff.
Right. And then distribute it.
So you have so much power if you're willing to work your face off, basically.
Yeah. I love that. I feel so inspired.
Feel empowered. Go out there and get yours, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to work really hard. I believe that.
I think that's at the end of the day, that's what it is, and I feel like nobody gets anywhere with, I mean, you could be just naturally talented, but you can pop up and then you'll be gone by tomorrow. Right. So you got to work hard.
It's a good note to end on.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was cool. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you.